What's up, Chaos Shinobi here. This is what if Naruto was a neglected prodigy. Summary: Naruto was neglected and abandoned by his parents since birth. Living in the shadow of his Jinchuriki sister, Naruto is forced to grow up and rise up to become one of the strongest shinobi to exist. Chapter 12. Naruko had expected a lot of things from Naruto and Kushina's conversation. She'd expected them to talk about everything that needed to be talked about. She'd expected Naruto to yell and scream to his heart's content. She expected this moment to be the turning point between mother and son. But it shouldn't be like this, should it? They were all seated by a bench table outside Tezuna's home. Tsunade had made everyone breakfast. They all couldn't fight and protect the bridge builder on empty stomachs. That wasn't the problem, however. The problem was her mother looked like a corpse, and Naruto had a scowl on his face. Neither one of them said anything and everyone could sense the tension. Naruko mentally sulked. Things weren't resolved at all. In fact, things seemed much worse. She wondered what they talked about. Most importantly, she wondered how bad things really were now. Naruko? Sakura said suddenly. Yeah? Naruko answered. About this morning. I thought about what you said, and, I want to form a truce. Naruko blinked at her, surprised. Oh? Sure. Most of the occupants were thinking the same thing. What did they talk about? Sasuke looked on indifferently. He knew what happened between them, but decided not to voice anything out. It wasn't really any of his business, so he would at least give them that. Thanks, said Sakura. Naruto didn't utter a retort. He only ate his food, wordlessly. Kushina fared no better. She should have at least showed some surprise at seeing her daughter and Sakura conversing mutually. No venom, not even glares, but her eyes were vacant, absent to the world. She hadn't even made an effort to touch her food. Kasan? Naruko called softly. Kushina turned to her, waiting. Never mind, I'll tell you later, Naruko put out. She was shocked and a little fearful with her mother's silence, but now was definitely not the time to talk to her about it. What happened? Was her conversation with Naruto that bad? She never thought ill of her brother, but did he take it too far or something? Thanks again for the food, Tsunami-san, Kakashi said gratefully. It's a pleasure. You can't work without eating now, can you? It won't be long now. Once the bridge is finished, we wouldn't have to worry too much about Gato and his gang anymore, Tezuna said brightly. And with our help, it will be done in no time, right Kushina-sama? Well, it will all be over soon, Kakashi said with an eye smile. It's pointless. What difference can you guys make? It won't change a thing. What's the point of fighting against him? You're just wasting your time. Everyone looked to the voice, finally noticing another head at the table. Inari. He glared at all of them, challenging them to doubt his claim. Gato had them at his mercy. What would a few ninja change? It was obvious that no one felt like retorting. They were more surprised that the kid had little faith at all. Silence was the factor for a while. So, that's what you think? That when life is unfair, the first thing to do is give up? Huh, you little brat? Naruto fumed, shocking everyone. You're gonna die. You're no match for Gato. Naruto stood up and approached Inari. Naruto, Kakashi warned, but Naruto had acted faster. He grabbed Inari by the collar and brought him inches from his face. Nissan, Naruko gasped. If that's the way you think, then you're always gonna live in fear. You're always gonna be pushed around, never having any freedom. So what? Inari bit back. It's better than risking our lives for something stupid. Inari, Tezuna yelled. Naruto ignored him. That means you're coward. You have no honor. Is that a life to live, knowing every day that Gato might make victims out of you? Knowing every day that you're in constant danger, because you do nothing? Imagine Gato killing your mother, all because you refuse to take a stand. Everyone remained silent, shocked themselves with what they were hearing. Even if you're scared, you have to fight for what you believe in. You can't just sit around and hope for nothing. Inari continued to glare at him. It was obvious he was choosing to be stubborn. I grew up in hell. People treated me like absolute garbage, all because I was different. I had something that was out of my control. People betrayed me, over and over again. I hated it. I hated how everyone just screwed with me and expected me to take it. Inari's eyes widened the more he heard Naruto's rant. Every person was staring in rapt interest. Tsunami could only look at the blonde in surprise. Kushina couldn't bear to look at the scene. She turned her head, hair covering her eyes. Naruto knew he shouldn't let too much be revealed. He didn't need pity, but he did need to make a point. Do you think I gave up? Do you honestly think I allowed myself to mope around in despair? No. I couldn't. I had to do something. That's why I'm going to be Hokage, because if I can't make change for the better, then no one else will. I'll make sure that people are treated equally, especially the ones who are different. He brought Inari's face closer and snarled, "I'm going to be that change. No matter what anybody says, I won't stop fighting for what's right." So you can sit there and mope around if you want, or you can stand up for yourself and take back what belongs to your village. Even if you're scared, if something precious to you is worth fighting for, then you fight for it. Naruto finally let Inari go. "I'm going to be the change," Naruto repeated, more calmly, but still resolute. Kushina stood and excused herself. She promptly started walking away. "Kasa, call me when it's time to go," was all she said, her emotionless voice leaving everyone in stunned silence. Naruto still had his back to them. He made no move. He just stood there. It was an awkward breakfast. It was time to head to the bridge. Kushina had been adamant in accompanying Tsunade, claiming that even if she was hurt, she could still handle herself. Kakashi had been reluctant in agreeing, but one glare from the redhead was all it took to change his tune. So Tsunade left with Kushina, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. They decided that Naruko and Kakashi could look after Tsunade and Inari, just in case Gato felt like attacking and taking the family hostage. Everyone walked in silence. Oh, there was tension all right, so thick it would take the sharpest knife to cut through. Tsunade had tried to keep the atmosphere upbeat, but failed miserably. "Hey, Dobi," Sasuke started. "What?" Naruto grumbled. "Heard we're going to be in other teams. I'd just like to say, as much of a loser you weren't that bad to be around," Sasuke said, eyes closed in a thoughtful way. Thanks, team," Naruto uncertainly replied, not sure if he had been complimented or insulted. "That's right, you should be thanking Sasuke-kun. It's not every day he gives out compliments." Sakura swooned. Sasuke sighed. "It's not a compliment. It's just something I think." "Oh," Sakura said. Everyone stared at her. "What? Is there something on my face?" Sakura asked fearfully. "Well, it's just, you're usually more persistent than that." Sasuke didn't even know why he pointed that out. "Really, I never noticed," Sakura said, seemingly surprised herself. "Tsunade?" Kushina addressed. "Yeah?" Tsunade answered. "I want more information on this Gato character. I am aware that he essentially runs your current village, but I want details." "Geez," Tsunade thought, had Kushina always looked that scary? "Like I told you before, the man is a menace. He's got us under his thumb with his gang. They rob from us, hurt us, and do whatever they please, whenever they please. Some of us are sick of it. Hence the bridge." "That's all nice, but you didn't give me details on Gato." "Oh, well, there isn't much to say. He's a short man who likes to hide behind his muscle. He would let his minions do his dirty work before even lifting a finger himself." "How many gang members?" "Hard to say, but a lot." "That doesn't give me anything to go by. I want numbers." I don't know." "DCH, just great." "Relax, compared to Zabuza, those guys are small fries." "At least that's good to know." As they got closer to the bridge, Kushina addressed her wards. "Our objective is to watch over Tsunade and his workers until this bridge is finished. Today should mark the near end of our duties. If enemy nin arrive, follow my orders to the letter, understood?" Kushina queried, completely in her sensei persona. They nodded at her, the seriousness of the situation not lost. "Good." As soon as they arrived at the bridge, Tsunade immediately set to work, ordering his workers on what to do and where to do it. The Konoha shinobi looked on carefully, prepared for anything that might happen. After about an hour, however, the kids were quickly getting bored. Naruto was getting agitated. It wasn't enough that there was awkward tension with his mother, but he was getting frustrated on waiting for a fight. Last time, he had been too angry to think straight, but now, it was fair game. He didn't have to wait long. A mist started to cover the unfinished bridge. At first, Kushina had been confused, but her senses as a Jonin warned her of imminent danger. She acted quickly, running to Tsunade, grappling the man, and shoving him to safety. Needles were in the place of the bridge builder's original position. Tsunade was lucky to be alive. "Gah! Damn it, why at a time like this? We're so close," Tsunade yelled, and was promptly shoved out of the way of more needles by Kushina. "Get as far away from the middle of the bridge as possible," Kushina commanded. Tsunade followed, running as fast as he could to the edge. Kushina was lucky the mist wasn't thick. It would make things more difficult if that was the case. Well, look what we have here," said a silhouette, barely visible through the fog. He walked forward, revealing his bandaged face and gigantic sword. "Zabuza Momochi," Kushina said. "Kushina, it's an honor to see you again. Frankly, I thought my poison killed you." "Miracles can happen," Kushina replied. "I bet," Zabuza sarcastically retorted. Kushina was ready for him this time. Even if she had a bad shoulder, she had plenty of jutsu in her arsenal to take on Zabuza of all people. Her senses kicked in again and she jumped out of the way, barely missing needles that were aimed at her head. How was it possible? Zabuza was in front of her. Unless she quickly looked to her side, noticing a woman in a hunter nin's mask. "Hey, it's the hunter nin that took Zabuza," Naruto pointed out. Kushina mentally cursed. It seemed Zabuza had more help. One missing nin was difficult to deal with on his own, but adding a mysterious hunter to the mix creating even worse possibilities. "Look, lady, I'm only ordered to kill the old man. Just don't get involved," Zabuza warned. "And we're here to protect this man, so walk away," Kushina countered. Her mind was racing with tactics of action. This was really bad, she didn't want the kids involved. Zabuza shook his head. "Forget it then. I've warned you before and there is just no changing your mind. This time, I'm going to make sure I finish you off." Kushina made sure she was at a perfect angle to watch both Zabuza and the masked nin. "Kids, protect Tazuna, that's an order." The Konoha squad had been expecting refusal from Naruto, once again, but were surprised when the blonde nodded and ran to the bridge builder. Sasuke and Sakura soon followed. "Sorry, Kushina, but it isn't going to be that easy. Haku, deal with the bridge builder. I'll handle her." The masked nin did nothing but what was told, swiftly dashing towards Tazuna. Kushina cursed. She had been hoping he would focus everything on her, but she was mistaken. Zabuza charged at her, sword ready to strike. He swung it at her. Kushina dodged, losing a couple of hairs. Zabuza was still on her, swinging and slicing with the intent to kill. He followed her movements, trying to mimic her in order to get the kill. Kushina was looking for an opening. She ignored the dull pain that shot through her injured shoulder. She would be fine, she could handle it. "You think you would have learned your lesson from the last time we fought, but no, you're still back for more. You disappoint me," Zabuza taunted as he swung. Kushina ducked, saw an opening and stuck, bringing her fist mere inches from the missing nin's chin, but he dodged at the last second. "And it seems like I'm not the only one who's got it in it for you. Take that blonde kid for example." Kushina froze mid-step, but Zabuza didn't press his advantage. "Oh, so I am right. You must have done something pretty bad for him to resent you the way I've seen." Kushina glared at him, but said nothing. "And now look at you, constantly putting their lives in danger. What kind of a sensei does that, Kushina seemed more and more indecisive. It appeared that Zabuza hit a sore spot. "Maybe you want them to die." Kushina's eyes widened before she fixed a hateful glare at the missing nin. "Bastard!" She took out her own blade, hidden by the side of her hip. She took her standard fighting stance. She couldn't see through Zabuza's mask, but he was grinning. She prayed that the kids could hold on for as long as they could. She needed to finish this as quickly as possible. "Damn it, here she comes," Naruto said. He turned around and faced the oncoming Haku head-on. "Naruto, we have to protect Tazuna," Sakura yelled. "I am protecting him. Cover him, Sakura. I'll hold her off." "But, go, Sakura. We'll handle this." Sakura stared at Sasuke, incredulous. "Go," Sasuke commanded. Sakura squeaked and hurried to the bridge builder. Naruto stared at Sasuke in bewilderment. "Sasu, you really didn't think I'd let you take all the glory, did you? Besides, you're too pathetic to handle her on your own." "DCH, freaking team." Sasuke smirked at him and then turned his attention to the fast-approaching nin. "Get ready." "I should be saying that to you," Naruto retorted, but complied. When the masked nin was close enough, it was Sasuke who started. "Kaden, Karyuenden." He took in a breath and blew a stream of fire, aimed straight at the nin. She jumped into the air, but Sasuke continued to trail after her. He almost hit her but she used substitution. "What the, substitution?" Naruto said in shock. "Behind you," Sasuke shouted. Naruto looked behind him. The nin looked to be attempting to puncture him with needles, but he dodged, with speeds that he never knew he had. Sasuke gaped, albeit subtly. "What the hell, you weren't that fast before." Naruto looked at his feet in awe. Even he didn't know where that had come from. He looked up and noticed that the masked nin was staring at him quite intently. Sasuke took the distraction as the perfect opportunity to strike. Kaden Ninpo, Kibashiri. Fireballs shot out of his mouth and raced straight to the masked nin. She outmaneuvered them easily, carefully changing her position so that each fireball missed its mark. Sasuke was starting to get frustrated. This woman was pissing him off. If he couldn't get her with jutsu, then he would stick to the old hand-to-hand combat. Naruto had the same idea. He didn't even have many jutsu to begin with, and it was obvious shuriken and kunai would be wasted, so he charged at her. "Dobi, stop." Sasuke warned. What the hell was that idiot thinking? The masked nin focused on him again, raising her hands in a defensive stance. Naruto shot fist after fist, each by yang easily handled by the nin. The nin shot a fist of her own when she saw an opening, but realized too late that she had been duped. Naruto ducked to avoid the fist. He put his hands on the floor and did a backflip, kicking the nin square in the face, hard. The masked nin backpedaled, staggering just a little. Her face showed a minuscule crack. Sasuke was definitely surprised. Naruto, the dobe, landed a blow? In fact, he actually outsmarted someone? Hey, come on. You want some more? I'm ready. Naruto hollered, his face serious. You have skills, I'll give you that. Both of you, however, are no match for me. The nin slowly removed her mask. Naruto could do nothing but stare in shock as the identity of the nin was revealed. Haku? Kushina dodged another slash aimed at her side. She struck with her own blade but Zabuza blocked it with his sword. They separated and created distance between each other. You just don't know when to quit, do you? Now you have to make those kids suffer. You're not a sensei, you're a joke. Kushina roared in anger and dashed at Zabuza. She swung her sword at different angles. Zabuza was able to counter every strike. Loud clinging sounds could be heard as the speeds of the Jonin's attacks increased. Kushina mentally grimaced, her damaged shoulder was beginning to throb painfully. She knew then that she was at a disadvantage. She was immensely surprised with the ferocity of Zabuza's swings. He struck so hard that she staggered backwards. This wasn't good, she was losing. What? What's going on? Naruto asked, confusedly staring at an unmasked Haku. Hello, Naruto. I see you're doing well, Haku said. Hey, Dobe, what's going on? You know her? She helped me. She gave the medicine to treat Kushina-sensei. So that's who it came from. Sasuke couldn't suppress a snort. Trust Naruto to get help from an enemy. That was then, but now, things are different. Stop trying to stop me. But why? Naruto cried. Why are you doing this? I don't expect you to understand. Don't get in my way. No, Naruto said firmly. I won't let you hurt Tazuna. As unfortunate as that sounds, you have given me no choice, Haku said seriously, widening her hands to show 10 senbon needles. Sasuke, we've got to stop her. You're telling me. Together. Naruto charged with Sasuke and Do. Naruto threw a few kunai, missing Haku completely. He cursed himself, he still had a lot to learn. Sasuke mimicked his past actions, almost hitting their mark, but not good enough. They attacked Haku with a barrage of punches, but Haku looked like she was handling them with practiced ease. Sasuke took a senbon needle to create an opening. Naruto, now. Ha! Naruto yelled, driving his fist into Haku's face, sending her flying away from them. Haku hit the ground harshly. She struggled to get to her feet. Hey, Sasuke, you okay? Naruto asked. Sasuke grit his teeth. The senbon needle hurt like a bitch, but it would be a cold day in hell before he let the loser know that. Of course I'm okay, I'm an Uchiha. Naruto rolled his eyes, whatever. They turned their attention back to their enemy. Haku was standing again. Her face looked bruised, but the scowl plastered on her face spoke volumes of her anger. She raised her hands, quickly throwing shuriken at the two boys. They both jumped aside. What's happening? I can't see clearly, Tazuna worriedly from his vantage point. I don't know, Sakura said worriedly, she hoped that things were going in their favor. She really didn't want to face a man who could chop her head off with little effort. Dobe, get after her. Sasuke barked. What? We need to do this together. We are, you idiot. You'll attack first and create an opening again. I'll work on a jutsu to finish her off. Naruto seemed apprehensive only for a moment before nodding in determination. Right. He charged at Haku again. You overestimate yourselves, Haku said, disappearing from the spot and reappearing behind Naruto. She dropped her head to his ear. I'm faster than I led you to believe. Naruto's eyes widened, but it was too late. He felt a fist connect with his head, sending him flying ahead. He hit his head on the ground. Staggering, he couldn't focus, his vision blurry. He could feel blood coming from his forehead, but it was too hard to concentrate on anything but the pain. His body fell on the ground again, unmoving. Damn it, Sasuke cursed. The situation was looking more grim each second. Haku turned her attention to him. I have been lenient, but I'm starting to lose my patience. What, you think beating up the dobe would scare me? We're not in the same level, so don't underestimate me, Sasuke said seriously. Haku cocked her head to the side, curious. You really think you have chance against me, don't you? I'm of noble blood, I won't lose to you. Well then, we shall see. Haku raised her hands again. She did a few hand signs before stating, Makyo Hyoshu. Sasuke felt the ground started to tremble. He wasn't prepared to see ice slabs that looked like mirrors emerge from the ground. If only he had his Sharingan, all of this would be so much easier to deal with. Haku had disappeared into a mirror. Sasuke was shocked by the act, but he was even more shocked when Haku appeared on each mirror as if she was in all of them. In this prison, You have zero chance of winning, Haku said. Sasuke looked at Naruto's unconscious form. Why did that idiot have to fail now? Looking at him won't save you. Sasuke looked at one of the mirrors and smirked. Big mistake. Fire melts eyes. He did a few hand seals. Kaden, Karyuenden. He took in a deep breath and released a stream of fire aimed at one mirror. It hit its mark. Sasuke's smirk quickly turned into a surprised frown when he realized that the mirror hadn't melted. It looked like it hadn't even been touched. Don't bother. We're not working with normal laws in this realm. Plus, you're not strong enough, the Hokage said. Sasuke grit his teeth in annoyance. He was going to try again but Haku was not done. In this place, I rule. I've had enough of these antics, it is time to finish this, the Hokage said. They all took out senbon needles. Sasuke was ready to dodge, but was shocked when all mirror images threw the needles at incredible speeds. They hit him like bullets. He had no time to react and had to endure the onslaught. Once Haku was satisfied with her work, she stopped. I think that should be enough. Goodbye. Sasuke struggled to remain standing. The pain in his body was indescribable. He didn't even realize that his Sharingan had awakened, he was too focused on not passing out. It was fruitless, however, as his body dropped to the ground. He lay down, littered with needles, motionless. It was over. Breathing. Someone was breathing. It was strong. Strong breath. So strong that the floor was rumbling. Naruto's eyes shot open. At first, his vision was too blurry to see anything, but then he saw blue water. That's when he realized something. He couldn't breathe. His head shot up. He gulped numerous amounts of air. His intake was haggard. He felt like he almost drowned. Well, if it isn't the little brat I kicked out of here. Naruto looked to the voice, and was promptly staring into two giant orbs of blood eyes, glaring at him. He looked around, seeing the different pipes in the familiar sewer-themed room. His mindscape? What are you looking around for? You lose something, moron? The Kyuubi's deep voice rumbled. Naruto stared at the fox in surprise. How did he get here? Oh wait, maybe you came to bitch and moan on how unfair your life is. So what are you waiting for? Bitch already and piss me off further. Naruto frowned at the fox, evidently not liking what the fox was saying. He didn't retort though, something the Kyuubi didn't miss. Oh, you angry now? The fox sneered. You wanna annoy me again? Naruto took a deep breath. He looked at the fox square in the eye. I'm sorry. That definitely wasn't what Kurama was expecting. The fox looked at him weirdly. What? I wanted to apologize for how I behaved the last time I was here. You were trying to help. I shouldn't have disrespected you. Okay? Kurama sounded confused. That needle bitch must have really done a number on you if you're this calm and apologetic. DCH, shut up. I'm only doing this because it's the right thing to do. What the hell is your problem? Kurama blinked. Suddenly there was a red flash and the cage was dark once again. What's my problem? Kurama asked as she stepped close to the cage. My problem is that I have weak, whiny vessel. Hey! Naruto protested, but stopped himself. He almost forgot, his comrades were in danger. Oh, you finally realize it? I'm surprised you lasted as long as you did with someone like Senbon Girl. Naruto gave her a look. Really? Senbon Girl? Hey, I'll name her however I want, kid. What's wrong with you? How many times must I tell you we're the same age? There you go, bitching again. Arg. Okay, I'm sorry. Could you tell me how to get out of here? I need to help my team. Let me be honest with you, Naruto. There is no possible way you can win. I'll find a way. Now, let me out. Listen to me. Kurama snarled, shocking Naruto. Your abilities are weak. Right now, you're only a few seconds from being killed. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here and wait for something to happen? No. I'll help you. What do you mean help me? In order for this to work, you'll need to give me temporary control over your body. Hell no. You're not listening. I know what you're after. You just wanna get free. Freaking bastard. After everything I've done, do you really think that's my motive? I can't trust you. I'm sorry. For the love of God, your friends will die if you don't take my help and you're running out of time. I don't want to die either, you know? If you die then I die. I don't want that. She really sounded desperate. Fine, if you let me help, I promise to train you in all I know. But you sigh. You stupid brat. She screamed, livid. Just accept my offer. Under one condition. What? This happens only once and I get control back anytime. That's one condition? Take it or... Okay. Give me your word. Arg. Freaking, I swear on my life as a Baiju that I will honor your conditions, Kyuubi grumbled. Naruto finally allowed a smile, thanking her for her training offer, and Kurama realized that she had just been played. You little she. There was a bright flash. Haku stared at the two bodies crumbled on the ground. They weren't dead yet, but the kunai she took out would change things. "I'm sorry," she started, "this isn't how I wanted things to go, but I have no choice. I am Zabuza-sama's weapon and I cannot fail him. Forgive me for killing you." Haku raised her kunai, taking aim at both boys. She froze, sensing something. It was huge. What kind of chakra was that? It was malicious, evil. "No time to ponder," Haku said, face stiff with determination. "I must kill them then help Zabuza-sama." "Ah, you shouldn't have to worry your pretty little head about that. They're not dying today." Haku was shocked in seeing Naruto stand up. However, that did not sound like Naruto. It did to some extent, but it was like there was a second voice. When the blonde stood fully, Haku was shocked to see red eyes staring at him instead of cerulean. Naruto looked at the fallen Uchiha and tisked. "My goodness, needles all over. You did a good job, Senbone girl." That was definitely not Naruto. His voice was more feminine than usual, but Haku was not deterred. "You're very resilient, Naruto-san, but this ends now." Haku fired the kunai, concentrating on a point that would produce fast death, the neck. Naruto casual cocked his head to the side, the kunai easily whooshing past him. "Oops, was that supposed to hit me?" Haku gaped. That was her fastest throw, no one had ever dodged it before. This was bad. Whatever was in front of her wasn't human. "Look at all these mirrors," Kurama said gleefully. "I really wish I could see what I look like instead this blonde moron." "Yes, I said it. You got a problem with the—" "Oh shut up." Naruto seemed to be talking to himself, Haku observed. This just kept getting weirder and weirder. She had enough, she wanted answers. "Who are you?" she quarreled. Kurama turned her gaze on her. "Oh, me? Why, I'm the lovable, gullible idiot who loves to yell believe it. All the time." "You won't escape my attacks a second time." Haku fired all her senbone needles at once, from all directions. It looked like they hit Naruto at first, but Haku suddenly noticed that Naruto seemed to be relaxed, too relaxed, as if he wasn't being attacked. She stopped attacking to assess her work. None of her attacks even touched Naruto, they just floated around him. Naruto observed one of the needles. Pretty sharp," he sniffed, "and poison. No, paralysis? I commend you for an adequate effort." Haku scowled. "I told you not to underestimate me." Naruto yawned. "I've grown tired of these mirrors. Time to take them down. I'd get out of there if I were you." Haku continued to scowl. Naruto shrugged. He stretched out a hand and fire instantly lit up. He had a little fireball in his hand. All the senbone needles completely burned away. Haku stared at the child in worry. Firstly, he didn't use any hand seals to summon that fire, which wasn't unheard of, but was a skill reserved for shinobi of legendary status. Secondly, she could actually feel the heat of the flame from inside the mirrors. That shouldn't even be possible. "Let's see," Naruto started, childishly bouncing the fireball on his hand. His gaze fixed on a mirror. "That looks like a good place to start." Naruto threw the small ball. Haku expected it to hit the mirror and dissipate, but was shocked to the core when that small fireball incinerated the mirror in one go. "One down," Naruto said, turning to look at another mirror. "More to go." Haku could only watch in shock as her most powerful jutsu was destroyed right in front of her eyes. It didn't take long for her to run out of mirror to use. There was only one mirror left. "You're pretty fast for a human, but it was kind of boring in the end. Are going to come out of there? I'm sure by now you can tell that I'm a bit persuasive." Haku knew she had no choice. If she didn't come out then she would die. It wasn't exactly something she felt like doing anytime soon. Zabuza-sama needed her. She stepped out of the mirror, never taking her eyes off of whatever was in front of her. She didn't even know how it came to this. No one, as far as she knew, was supposed to possess such raw power. She honestly thought that this was a dream. "Good, girl. Now here's how it's going to go. The boy doesn't want me to kill you, and since I'm under oath, I don't have much freedom. So guess what? Today is your lucky day." Haku charged at her, using her immense speed to try and get one up Naruto. Kurama rolled her eyes. "It may seem to some people that you're going fast, but to me, you're as slow as tortoise." To emphasize, she used her own speed, knocking Haku off her feet before she could blink. Haku tried to stand up, but a hand on her head stopped her. "Now, senbone girl, be good and stay there, 'kay?" was all Haku heard before she felt her eyes getting heavy and promptly passed out. Well, that was entertaining. Kurama stretched her limbs and then suddenly stopped. "Relax, what did I tell you about a Baiju's word being law? You really need to learn to have more faith, kid." "Yeah, I'll keep calling you a kid, because you are a kid. We are not the same age, douchebag. I'm older than you. Why you bastard, stop calling me Bachan." Kurama huffed and pouted. "Fine, Take your stupid body back. I can't continue to overwhelm you with my chakra or you'll burn alive anyway. Besides, this thing smells like freaking ramen. Gross. Naruto's eyes changed from red to blue. He hunched over, taking large gulps of breath. He felt really hot, too hot to breathe. Once he stabilized, he slowly rose to his feet. He felt really tired, like he ran more than 100 times around Konoha. He looked around, seeing the mist surrounding him. He heard steel clashing against steel. He looked further into the mist and saw Kushina still fighting Zabuza. Both looked worse for wear, but it appeared Kushina was on the losing end. You hear that, Kushina? Nothing. Those kids are probably dead by now, and it's all your fault. Kushina was finding it hard to breathe. Her fight with Zabuza was going terrible. She was still suffering from the lingering effects the poison given to her. She had contemplated repeatedly on using her chakra chains, but they needed a lot of chakra to work, something she was definitely lacking in. She struggled to hide the tears. She's starting to doubt herself. She was starting to believe Zabuza. She was a horrible sensei. Organizing this team spelled disaster from the beginning, but she was more focused on being close to Naruto than anything else. She was horrible. Nothing, no excuse could save her for what she did. She abandoned a child. No parent does that, ever. She failed. They were killed because of her. It was her fault. Her guard started to lower. She looked like she was starting to give up. Zabuza saw her openings becoming more prominent. It seemed like the match was finally over. Before he could lay the finishing blow, someone stopped him. Kushina-sensei. Kushina's eyes widened. She turned to the voice. Her mentally sighed in relief when she saw her son. Don't listen to him. Are you just going to give after everything we've been through? If that's the case, then what was the point of being our sensei? What was the point of any of this? Kushina stared at Naruto, breathless. If you give up now, then you don't deserve to be called my sensei. That's right. Even though it wasn't what she was looking, Naruto was still willing to have her around, as a sensei. Under the circumstances, that's a Kushina could get. Even so, he was her family. She had a husband, 3 beautiful children. How could she give that up? She couldn't do that to them. She looked back at her son. He was on his knees, breathing heavily. Naruto. She called worriedly. Don't worry about me, Naruto rebuked, fatigue weighing him down. Just show that guy not to mess with Konoha-nin. Kushina nodded her head and faced her enemy. I'm surprised you didn't attack. Figured I'd let you have this moment before I killed you, Zabuza shrugged. Kushina held her blade tightly. Oh, I won't be dying today. Zabuza chose that moment to attack with his blade. She countered herself. It went back and forth once again, clang. Clang. They put their body weight into their attacks, bringing their faces inches apart. Shit, you weren't this strong before. Mainly because I have something to fight for, Kushina said through gritted teeth. She roared and shoved Zabuza away from her. Damn, lady, why do you have to make things so difficult? Zabuza bit out. Kushina readied her attack. Zabuza decided to increase his mist jutsu's potency. He would have, if it wasn't for the sudden clapping. Very well done, Zabuza. Gato clapped. He and his thugs were not far from the battle. What are you doing here? I told you that I'll get my pay after I deal with Konoha. That's the thing, my good friend, Gato started with a wicked grin. I decided to terminate that contract. Why have you here when I can use my entire force? What? Zabuza said in shock. All that fighting, blood and bruises, were for nothing? You served your purpose, Zabuza. Now, you die, Gato said, his goons readily agreeing with him. Die, huh? Zabuza murmured, looking at his bloodied body. He had been fighting for so long that he wasn't sure if he could take on an army or not, but he was pissed. Kushina looked at him. My contract is over, so I got no qualms with you. I'm going to kill that bastard. Kushina nodded, understanding his meaning. Since Haku isn't here, I can assume the kid's dead. I'll handle this alone. No, Naruto said, Haku's alive. If she hasn't killed you now, then I guess she's just a defective weapon. How can you say that? That's how it works, kid. I can't something that's defective. She fought for you with everything she had. I'm sure sacrificed so much for you. I heard it myself. She didn't want to kill, but she was willing for you. After everything she's done, how can you just toss her away like garbage, you selfish bastard? But Zabuza never turned to Naruto. He kept his gaze on Gato. He started walking to the gang, sword in hand. I know we're enemies, he started, but look after her. That's my last request. Kushina knew he was talking to her. I can only promise to do what I can. Zabuza nodded. He held his sword tight and charged at the army. He knew they were too many to kill in his state, but he would kill as much as possible. He fought, cutting down enemy after enemy, getting numerous cuts and gashes from enemies. He lost feeling in his good arm, so he threw his sword and killed another thug. He took a kunai in his teeth and continued to hack away at the bandits, until he finally cornered Gato. The man started making promises, from riches to woman, but Zabuza was having none of it. He cut the man's throat with the last of his strength, sending the man over the cliff. He stood there as he continued to bleed, not even the worried cries of his weapon could be heard by him. He collapsed, slowly succumbing to his fate. His life flashed before his eyes, terrible memories mixed with good. The last thing he saw was Haku and his eyes seemed a little happier. "Haku. Live," was the last words he uttered. Fortunately, the now conscious girl had been close enough to hear, and couldn't stop weeping. The only things heard were the cries of sorrow. Naruto looked tiredly to the voice. He saw a blurry image of Inari with people. "Inari?" he called weakly. "We came to help?" Inari trailed. He and his fellow villagers stared at the carnage in awe. A few ninja could kill so many people? "You're brave after all," Naruto smiled, then his eyes closed and he passed out. "Thank you again for all you did for our land," Tsunade said gratefully. "It's our pleasure. I just hope next time we come here, there won't be any more fighting," Kakashi said with an eye smile. "Me too, Kakashi-san. I'd like to thank your Jinan as well. I know I called you brats before, but you really came through for us, and you have my respect." "Damn straight, and you better not forget it, old man," Naruto said, failing to stifle his grin. A tick mark formed on Tsunade's head. "You little brat." Everyone laughed at their antics. Naruko was very happy. Whatever happened at the Battle of the Bridge seemed to have turned Naruto. He seemed a lot more nicer, friendlier, and louder. She didn't know what to make of it, but she hoped he stayed that way. Kushina seemed to be better too. Sure, Naruko could still see sadness occasionally flash in her eyes, but this had been the proudest and happiest she had ever seen her mother ever since they came to Konoha. "Well, guys," Kushina started, "I hope you realize that once we get back home, some of you will be in different teams. So is there anyone you'd like?" "DCH. It doesn't matter, as long as I get training, and Naruko is there." Sasuke literally threw the last statement out there, earning a glare from said girl. "I won't be with Sasuke. Because I know I'll learn more," Sakura said. Everyone rolled their eyes. "I choose you, Kawa-san," Naruko said. Kushina smiled at her daughter, but was soon thrown for a loop with what her son said. "I choose Kushina-sensei." Everyone just stared at him. "What? I know she'll be fair, unlike some other people." Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Kushina struggled to keep her composure. She complimented her. It wasn't much to go by, but it felt like a victory to her. She looked at the silent Haku. "This isn't going to be easy, I know. Don't worry though, I'm sure Konoha will take you with open arms." Haku nodded, but said nothing. "I've been there, okay? I know what it's like. Let's get to know each other, that way, we won't be strangers." "I'm sorry, but I can't just yet. I've lost someone dear to me." "Don't worry, Haku," Naruko said brightly. "I'll be here for you if you need a friend." "I don't understand why you would be so accepting of me." "Well," Kushina started, "if it wasn't for you, then I wouldn't be alive. I think it's fair that I repay the favor." "Goodbye everyone. Come back anytime," Tsunade said. Naruto walked up to Inari. He patted the boy's head. "I'm sorry about what I said before. You're not a coward, you're a hero." Inari shook his head. "No, you're the hero. If it wasn't for you, then wouldn't have had the courage to protect my mom when those bandits tried to take her hostage." "Thanks." "No prob, kid." "Naruto, we're leaving now." "Okay. I'll see you guys next time." "Come by sometime." "Okay." "We'll be sure to." The Konohanin started walking in the direction of home, with the addition of a new member. Haku suddenly remembered something. "Oh. Before I forget, just so we don't have any confusion in the future, I'm a boy." "What?" As they continued walking, bickering like idiots, Kushina took the opportunity to look back. She couldn't be any more prouder even if she wanted to. She smiled in content, grateful she had the chance to see to the bridge completion and its name, the Great Naruto Bridge. Minato was getting a headache. Konoha had been a frenzy of activity. There was only one reason that was the case: Naruto was coming home. Normally, the blonde boy wouldn't be so recognized on people's radars, but they had little choice but to be aware, because of their Hokage announcing punishment for those who wronged his son, and there were a lot of guilty people on the naughty list. He had received the message from Kushina via scroll, explaining their estimated time of arrival. From what he could tell from what she wrote, a lot of things had happened. The Hokage hadn't expected such a simple mission to turn into a life-and-death situation. Kushina had highlighted that the squad had been barely able to hold themselves against Jounin leveled Nin. With that, was the addition of a new member, whom Minato had yet to know more about. Not only that, but Kushina very clearly stated her intention to talk to him about something important. He had known her for a long time. So for her to write such a cryptic message, meant somebody was in trouble. He wondered if she actually found Tsunade. It would be a miracle and a much-needed distraction from begging villagers. If not, then he had no clue what was going on. Well, today was the day, so he was about to find out anyway. "Are you sure I should be in the same room as you? Kushina will be back any minute, and as soon as she sees me, there's no doubt I'll be in the hospital again." Minato peered at the person in front of him. "You have no one to blame but yourself. I never asked you to come into my office, Jiraiya." The Toad Sanin sighed. "Well, how else am I going to see the kid? It will be damn near impossible with Kushina around." "Don't even think you're getting any favors from me. Whatever happens between you and Kushina Koi is your problem to deal with." Jiraiya's mouth fell. He looked like a shriveled up pumpkin. "Come on, don't you want me to make it up to the kid? There's no way that's going to happen unless I have the space to. Look, I understand I have to make it up to Kushina too, but right now, I need one-on-one time with Naruto. From what you've told me, the boy is obviously lacking in skill. Plus, I still need to give him the Toad contract. At least if I give it to him before Naruko, he won't think I'm favoring her over him." Minato's glower never wavered. "Do you hear yourself? Are you doing this to earn favor with me or Naruto?" Jiraiya blinked. "Naruto? Isn't that what we agreed on?" "Well then you better start thinking that way. Whatever happens between you and my son doesn't change anything between us. If Naruto ever got to liking you, it doesn't mean I won't still see you as a disappointment and a failure as my mentor. You've already lost your trust with me and Kushina. You better hope it isn't the same with my son." I get it, Jiraiya groaned, rubbing his head. "But I need that time." "What are you suggesting?" Minato demanded, not looking pleased. "A training mission, 1 month outside Konoha. In that time, I'll get the kid up to speed in the shinobi arts. It will give me plenty of time to teach him important jutsu, especially Toad-based jutsu that will be vital. I will also use that time to search for Tsunade, killing 2 birds with 1 stone." "That is for Kushina to decide." "Oh come on, Minato. Don't give me that bull. You're the man of the family. You make the important decisions like this." Minato shook his head, a wry smile on his face. "You're unbelievable, you know that, Jiraiya? Don't you get it? I've already made my decision. I've been telling you no since this conversation started. I'm not on your side. I'm on the side of my family. Whatever you do to make things right, you're on your own." "So it's like that, huh?" Jiraiya murmured, looking down. "Fine, I'll figure something out." Minato nodded his head, not saying anything else. "Guess I have no choice. I have to wait for the kid here then." In that instant, the secretary burst into the room. "Hokage-sama, Team 7 has arrived," she announced. "Send them here immediately," was Minato's response. Jiraiya stiffened. He had been hoping for a little more time to compose himself and prepare to try and sway Kushina's animosity towards him away from him, at least for the time being, but that wasn't going to happen after all. They waited just a couple of minutes in the office. When the door opened, Minato bared witness to a disarrayed and cluttered Team 7. Some of them wore bandages on specific areas, most notably Kushina. His worries were in the back of his mind, however. First and foremost, he needed to get down to business. "Welcome back, Team 7. I have been informed that your journey to Wave was a trying one." He watched them walk inside, and waited for the right moment before he continued on. "I was also apprised to the fact that you faced not 1, but 2 Jounin level nin. I'm glad to see you all back and safe and well done. I'm proud to say that you have completed your first B-rank mission." His exciting statement didn't get him the results he wanted, though. Instead of seeing proud smiles, he was observing tired faces. Kushina returned his gaze, but hers was a lot more foreboding than he would have liked. What was up with that look, he wondered. He looked away from her and noticed the newcomer, or new member. She was very young and pretty. He wondered what she had been through in Wave to seek help from Konoha, but he would wait for answers in their report. When he turned to Naruto, he was expecting to see anger in the blonde's eyes. He did see a little anger, but Naruto's piercing gaze was far colder than the Hokage ever recalled. Minato felt on edge. Something was very wrong. "All right everybody," he addressed the exhausted Jinan, "you're free to go home and rest up. Since you've completed your first B-rank mission, I'll send the pay to your respective areas in due time. And be proud of yourselves, I'm sure achieving a task as strenuous as this requires a little boasting." Ha ha ha. His little joke was only met with mumbles. Naruko stretched her arm. "Woo. I'm so tired. I can't wait to take a bath. Come on, Nii-san, let's." "Sorry, Naruko-chan, but Naruto is staying here," Kushina informed, never turning to her daughter. Naruko stared at her mother quizzically, but relented when Sasuke and Sakura were already leaving the room. "Okay," she said, a bit saddened, "but when you're done, Nii-san, I'll come to your place with Narumi-chan." Naruto didn't answer her outright, still keeping his eyes firmly on his father, but Naruko noticed the subtle nod of his head. He had actually agreed. She smiled softly, deciding that it was time to leave. She hardly paid the big old man in the room any mind, convincing herself that he must have been one of her father's clients. "Bye, To-san, Ka-chan, Nii-san." "Bye, Naruko-chan, I'll see you at home," Minato said with a grin. Once Naruko left the office, it was as if the temperature froze in an instant. Jiraiya wondered if being in the same room as Kushina really was a good idea. The Namikaze woman didn't seem like she was in the mood for small talk. And considering that the talk he envisioned concerned Naruto, he had suspicion that he would be signing his own death certificate. Kakashi was mildly aware of what was going on, but he had no clue of the real story. It was obvious that Naruto was in the room because the matter concerned him, but voicing out those thoughts could get him into more deep trouble than he was already in. So he waited, preparing to give his report on the matter. "Jiraiya," Kushina hissed, not bothering to spare him a glance. "What are you doing here?" The Toad Sannin was caught off guard. Usually, he loved being the center of attention, but these weren't good times. "I need to speak with you." "You and I have nothing to talk about. There are more pressing issues than me beating the crap out of you. Leave." Haku had no idea what to do. He was a bundle of nerves already. Being in unfamiliar territory only served to increase his uncertainty, so he wisely watched on and said nothing. "Look," Jiraiya tried to explain, "it's about the kid here." Naruto briefly looked at the Sannin, and instantly remembered him from Kurama's memories. "So, the other one who abandoned me is back, huh? Guess it's only really convenient when you realize you screwed up so badly that you have no other choice but to try and make things right." Jiraiya's mouth clamped shut. Actually, he had been hoping to tell Naruto himself about that. But since the blonde already knew it himself, the Sannin's hopes of fixing his mistakes were dwindling fast. He wondered if Minato or Kushina told him, but it didn't really matter how he found out. What mattered was the fact he did in the first place. He felt like cursing. Now what was he supposed to do? Minato decided to cut the tension before it turned ugly. He needed to get a report before any significant changes could take place, but he was starting to fear that there was more to Kushina's attitude than just Jiraiya's presence. "Kushina, just relax for now. I need the report for the mission to document it. After that, you can do whatever you want of this bastard." Jiraiya felt like huffing in indignation. Kids these days. "Kakashi will handle that. I have something else I want to discuss with you in private." "Can it wait then?" Minato asked. Kushina considered it, and it would seem much more acceptable to talk to Minato without the presence of others. She looked at Naruto. "Will that be okay with you?" "Me? Sure, it's not going to change anything anyway," Naruto answered. Although Minato was happy that Kushina seemed to have made significant progress with her son, he was still very wary of what they wanted to discuss with him. Kakashi made the report. It wasn't too accurate, and Kushina had to aggravatingly correct him on a number of occasions. But most in the room understood why that was the case. She was impatient. Once the report was finished, Minato addressed the issue of Haku. Ultimately, he decided to allow Haku in Konoha's ranks as a Chunin. He would be given a place to live and his slate as a hunter and would be wiped clean. Of course, he would need to explain his actions to other shinobi and kunoichi, but he wasn't worried about anyone questioning his judgment now. As of the moment, he had Konoha completely under his mercy. So once everything was sorted out, and he informed Kakashi to show Haku around, the only people left in the office were the individuals who were involved in that terrible night where a boy was left behind. Minato wanted Kushina to head to the hospital, so someone could see to her injuries, but he couldn't voice it out. He wasn't given the chance. Kushina didn't wait. She got straight to the point. "Minato, the Shiki Fuujin you performed that night, are you sure it did what it was intended for?" Now that was a question even Jiraiya didn't see coming. That was not a random inquiry. There was a reason why she asked him, but what could that reason be? Minato was a bit confused at the quiz, but he answered anyway. "Of course. I saw the Kyuubi's chakra and soul unleashed and sealed into Naruko and Naruto respectively." "Have you ever tested this out before, Hokage-sama?" Naruto gritted out. Minato frowned at his disrespectful tone, but decided to play it cool and keep his composure. "Not the alternative I used that night and neither the original. The Shiki Fuujin is a death sentence, you can't possibly test it. Even you know that, Kushina." Kushina nodded her head. A hopeless smile was plastered on her face. "I really was a fool." "Well, there's your answer, Naruto." Naruto glanced at her and glared right back at the Hokage. "That's all I needed to know. All of this was because of you. What? Let me finish, Naruto roared, pointing a shaky finger at Minato. I have the Kyuubi within me. She's this soul you're speaking of. But guess what? That's not all, she the chakra too. You didn't separate the Baijuwu from its chakra. You didn't do anything significantly different. The only difference with your Shiki Fuujin was that you lived to tell the tale, nothing more. Jiraiya frowned at the child's attitude. Hey, listen kid. Shut up, old man, you're also on my shit list. Naruto screamed at him. He turned back to Minato, and was surprised when he saw him scowling. That's impossible, Naruto. I saw it for myself. There's no way I could have made such a mistake. Look, I understand that you're angry at us for leaving you here, but we didn't do it out of spite. Naruto gaped at the Hokage. No way, he was actually choosing denial? Was his arrogance that big? Well, he would sort that out pretty quickly. Well, you did make a mistake. I spoke to Kurama personally. She showed me everything that happened that night and told me that a Baijuwu's chakra is its soul. So you left me for nothing. Minato wasn't buying any of it. Naruto, you spoke to Kurama? Why do you keep referring to it as she? The Kyuubi has no gender. And I wouldn't take its words lightly. It could easily be lying to you. What proof do you have to support this? That was a legitimate question. But luckily for Naruto, it was Kushina who came to his defense. I felt it when I was battling Zabuza on the bridge. It was a huge surge. At first, I thought my injuries were playing tricks with my senses, but looking back, it was exactly the same feeling I would get when I released Kurama's chakra. That's why I believe everything he said is true. And you're wrong about Kurama lying. That damn Baijuwu has an honor system. If it gives an oath, it keeps to it. I know that for myself. Minato felt vindicated that his own family was gunning after him, but the very idea that he had caused his own blood to suffer was a disastrous prospect to entertain. If what they told him was correct, then Naruto would have every single right to hate them, to hate him in particular. That's the last thing he wanted. He never wished for such intense animosity with his family. He was looking out for them earnestly. Naruto and Naruko's safety was all he cared about on that fateful night. But alas, it seemed like that one big decision was still coming back to haunt him to the very end. He didn't know what to say. It was one thing taking what Naruto said with a grain of salt, it was a whole different story if Kushina supported him. His posture sagged the more he thought about the claim of abandonment to be true. His eyes grew larger and fearful. This was not what he was expecting, but still, he needed to defend himself, to show that he wasn't stupid in actually creating a ludicrous plan that tore his family apart. If it's true that you two have the Kyuubi's chakra, then show me now. I can't, Naruto grumbled. I don't know how to. And that's what Minato had been desperately hoping for. Then how can I undoubtedly believe that what you're telling me is true? It's one thing for you to say it, showing me the evidence. Slap. Minato stared wide-eyed at Kushina, wondering why she had slapped him. Kushina had had enough of Minato's dismissal. This was a very serious subject, and his attempt at evading the truth made her furious. Don't you dare, Minato, don't you dare pretend like nothing happened, because it did. I should have known back then. I should have realized that you couldn't possibly perform something so complex indefinitely. But no, I allowed myself to be swayed, and it ruined everything. Kushina. Now, Kushina Jiraiya was cut off with a withering glare. Don't talk to me. She returned her gaze to Minato, and growled. Accept it. Accept what you've done. Take it like a man and don't make excuses. Minato was slumped on his seat. His head was bowed. Kushina knew she finally got through to him. She walked back to Naruto without a word. As for the blonde himself, he had half a mind to sock Minato in the jaw, but Kushina beat him to the punch. He was grateful that she was actually choosing to take his side above her husband's. He still needed to make things clear for everyone to understand. And he felt like that moment was good enough. Hokage-sama, you chose to abandon me. You chose your own daughter over your son. Since I realized that there was no reason for you to choose anyone in the first place, I don't want anything to do with you. You've made it clear now that you value your power over your family, and frankly speaking, I haven't seen you at least trying to rectify your mistakes from the past. But you know what? I don't care about you anymore. Do whatever you want. He didn't bother speaking to Jiraiya and turned to Kushina. She patiently waited for her turn to be scolded. Usually, it would be the other way around. But she messed up, and so had to face the consequences. Kushina-sensei, I know that you may mean well for me, but I cannot trust you completely because you have no balance on your life as a mother and wife. No mother would have agreed if her husband came up with the ideas that Minato had, but you did. Tell me, how do I know that if Minato has others you will not do the same and agree with him again? You need to make a choice. What is more important for your life, To be a mother or be a wife, because you have already proven that you cannot be both at the same time, otherwise we will not be having this talk. You need to make a choice now for your daughters so they do not have to suffer what both you and Minato made me go through. Kushina couldn't be sadder to hear that than if someone told her that she would die in the next hour. She knew what he said was coming from his logical perspective of how she had dealt with things concerning him. Honestly, it was very childish of her to think that they would be a happy family in a short amount of time. It was childish of her to force herself on him, when he clearly stated he wanted none of it. How could she be his mother if she couldn't get her act together and actually think rationally, instead of just hoping for the best out of the worst situation? She smiled warmly at him, mentally happy at his surprise. I understand, Naruto, you're right. Actually, I pretty much came to the same conclusion when I was in Wave. I hope you realize that this doesn't change the fact that I love you, and I'm not going to stop being there for you, but I'll be there when you need me, not when I want to. Naruto blinked at her. That was actually the right thing to say. It became apparent to him that she wasn't trying to impose on him anymore. In fact, she was more focused on being a sensei than the mother he didn't need. It made sense now, and he was grateful. He nodded his head and made to leave, but was stopped. What about me? Don't you have anything nasty to say to your godfather? Jiraiya put out. It was more to gauge Naruto's reaction than actually asking for it. Naruto didn't turn around. I don't know you, let's keep it that way. There was the venom, Jiraiya noted. Yep, he definitely was on the kid's shit list. As soon as Naruto opened the door, the last thing he expected was Naruko on the other side. Everyone stared at her. Her face was a mess of tears. Her eyes were as wide as saucers, her mouth partially opened. She looked like a statue, the world deaf to her. Kushina and Minato understood immediately. Musume, Kushina began gently. How could you? How could you? How could you? She repeated the mantra like a broken record. Kushina tried to approach her, but Naruko backed away. Her eyes conveyed hurt and anger. Naruko-chan, Kushina tried again. All this time, Ni-san suffered for nothing? All this time, you left him because of a hunch? You left him for nothing? Naruko-chan, watch your tone, Minato scolded. For the first time she could remember, Naruko was extremely irate. How could you? It's your fault Ni-san doesn't love us. She ran away then. Kushina didn't have the heart to chase her. What could she possibly say to her daughter? Naruko was right after all. Naruto looked on. He felt bad for Naruko. She never asked for any of it, but it was harsh reality. He decided to leave, feeling what he needed done was done. The room was only filled with adults now. There was a heavy feeling in the air, like a hefty mass on everyone's shoulders. Jiraiya was stunned that the Shikifuujin that Minato performed wasn't what they expected. It was different, but not what they thought it to be. And that one error seemed to be the catalyst to their downfall. Kushina had her eyes on the exit the entire time. She felt old for her age. She felt emotionally drained. When it came to Kami screwing her over, she never got a break. She made to leave. I'm sorry, Kushina-koi. That stopped her in her tracks. She turned to Minato. It really is my fault this happened. How could I have been so arrogant in my beliefs? It's literally cost me my son, and now everything is falling to pieces. She really didn't care for his self-loathing, but she felt she needed to clear up a few things. Don't think this is your fault alone. Like I said, I should have realized on that night that you couldn't have possibly done what you said you did. I had a better understanding of seals, more than you, and I should have followed my instincts instead of following you. We're both to blame, Minato-koi. I am upset at you, but I am just as guilty. She opened the door. I'll be staying somewhere else for a few days. I need to reflect and pull myself together. Minato nodded his head slowly. And the kids? They're safer in the Namikaze estate. It doesn't mean I won't be stopping by to see them. I just need some time to myself. I get it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Kushina stopped a second and remembered something. Could you locate Naruto's adoption papers for me? I need to know who took him in. Naruto was adopted? Minato yelled. Yes, and I'll explain everything soon. Just please get me those papers. All right, but you owe me that explanation. Kushina nodded, then noticed something important, depending on who you are. Where's Jiraiya? You know, you could give me a heads up when you actually pull me into the mindscape. Naruto deadpanned. Kurama stared blankly at him, her tail usually swaying from one place to another. In human form, she looked rather cute for a terrifying monster. Naruto wondered why he hadn't noticed something as fluffy as that the few times he had been dragged here. It made her look exotic, human with fox features, which was strange. Why should I do that? Kurama asked. Her big, red eyes seemed genuinely curious. Well, it would help if I didn't fall flat on my face every time I came here. Naruto complained. Kurama continued to scrutinize. Naruto had half a mind to think she was messing with him on purpose. And he was right. She laughed out loud, pointing a finger at his pouting face. I had you going, didn't I? What is wrong with you? Oh, relax. Kurama waved him off. I was just playing innocent. Geez, you really are naive. And you're a nutcase. Maybe, Kurama drawled, a teasing smile forming. But the reason why I won't give you a heads up is simple. I can't communicate with you outside of the mindscape. I think that should have been obvious to you by now. Naruto stared at her stupidly. In hindsight, he should have suspected something along those lines when he noticed she never openly communicated with him outside his mind. But then, wait a minute. When you took control of my body, I was able to talk to you while I was here. So explain that. He challenged. Kurama tilted her head. Well, that's actually simple. I had a connection to the mindscape even when I had control over your body. So I wouldn't say every part of me was gone from this place, otherwise the seal would force me back, harshly. Naruto was surprised that he understood what she said and meant. He could only nod his head numbly. So why am I here this time? Who knows? Maybe I just wanted to hear you bitch and moan some more. Arg. I'm done with that. I already told you so. Finally, someone grew a little, just a little. You don't seem like you grew at all. Naruto meekly backed away when the fox glared at him. Oh, so you're making fun of me, is it? I'll have you know that when I do grow to my full height, I have a great figure and great boobs. Naruto gave her a look. I never said anything about your... Never mind. Why am I here, Kurama? Upon noticing his seriousness, Kurama sighed. Ruin the fun, why don't you? Anyway, I told you I was going to train you before, didn't I? Actually, you pretty much tricked me into it, which was very commendable, you little shit. You're the one who offered, not me. So how is this going to work exactly? We need to establish a communication channel inside and outside the mindscape. For that to happen, I need you to sign this. A scroll appeared in her open hand. She handed it to Naruto. He looked at it in wonder and bewilderment. From what he could tell, which was vaguely, it looked like a contract? He asked, receiving an affirmative nod from his partner. Yep. It isn't anything complicated. It just connects our consciousness together. The only drawback would be it would allow me to always read your mind, and since I already do that, it's nothing different for you. Naruto was still frowning when he looked at the content. I can't read this, and it seems like it's a lot more than just connecting our consciousness together. Kurama smiled at him. Wow kid, you're actually pretty bright for an idiot. She ignored his glare and decided to explain. You're right, it isn't just for our minds. We will also be sharing chakra, more like mixing chakra. In order for that to happen without me escaping my cage, we need to be bonded. What do you mean by bonded? I don't know how to expressively explain it. But in simple words, our minds and chakra will be connected to the both of us. So if you ever feel like drawing out my power, it wouldn't be damaging to your body to do so. And if you ever want to talk to me, I will always be there, in mind of course. Additionally, in order for your body to compensate for my evil chakra, it will combine our chakra together to create something new. That's it in a nutshell. Naruto nodded slowly. I get it, but how is this training? Kurama looked at him like he was stupid. This isn't training. Training hasn't started. We need to distinguish key issues so we won't have problems later on. Well, since I can't read this thing, I have no idea if I should even consider your offer. Do you want me to make an oath about it? I think you've already figured out that I can't lie if I do that. Naruto blinked at her a few times. He decided to ask instead, why are you doing this, though? I thought you hated me or something. Kurama huffed. You make me sound one-dimensional. Besides, I don't hate you. I just hated your attitude before. The reason why I'm training you is so I don't have a weak vessel. I mean compared to your sister, you're practically nothing. Naruto grimaced and looked away from her. Gee, thanks. Anytime, but look at it this way, with my help, you'll surpass your sister in no time. He returned his gaze on her. How is that possible, especially considering she has your other half? Kurama shook her head. Listening is a skill, Naruto, one you'll need to learn pretty quickly. Remember when I told you that I was the yang chakra, the good kind? He nodded his head. Then do you honestly think that the yin part of me wants anything to do with teaching someone, especially the daughter of its jailer? Naruto thought it over. Maybe it wouldn't now, but what if that changes? I'll be right behind her again. Don't make it sound that easy, because it isn't. Right now, all my yin half cares about is escaping its cage. Your sister's life is forfeit. Naruto's eyes widened. You mean she's in danger? Not yet, but it's very likely her life will be in peril soon. He had never thought of it that way. He just assumed that since Yang Kurama was crazy, then Yin Kurama was double the crazy. Bonk. Ow. Naruto whined, rubbing his sore head. "Why do you keep forgetting that I can read your mind?" Kurama nonchalantly queried. Naruto grumbled under his breath. "You don't need to worry about her yet. You are the sorry excuse of a shinobi that can't do anything right, not her." "Do you really want to fight me, bitch?" Naruto yelled. "Please, I'd kill you in a second, now calm down." Naruto pouted but complied. "Right, although I have centuries of techniques under my belt, I think teaching you is going to be tricky the way you are now." "What's that supposed to mean?" he demanded. Kurama didn't look perturbed by his scowl. "Simple, kid, you're too impulsive. You say something before you even think it over, you rush into battle before even making a strategy. Things like that will get you killed. We need to work on your attitude and way of thinking before we advance to anything else." Naruto didn't like hearing anyone insult his skills bluntly, but he had little choice but to acknowledge she knew more than him, a lot more. He begrudgingly nodded his head, confirming he understood what she meant, but didn't have to like it. Kurama hummed in triumph. "Good boy. We're the same age." She rolled her eyes. He was never going to let that one down, but she was slowly starting to get used to it. He wasn't a bad individual. He just made stupid choices, and it wasn't as if it was all his fault that he grew up to be that way. "Before we start that, you need to sign this." Another contract appeared in her hand. "What, another one?" Naruto queried. "Yep," Kurama said. "Sign the first one, so I can tell you what this one does." Naruto nodded and took the quill she offered. He signed the bottom of the contract quickly. He never saw Kurama smirk. Once he was done, he took the other contract in his hand. It was in the same unreadable language as the first one. This was really strange. "So what does it do?" Naruto asked. "It's the Fox contract," she declared. Naruto stared at her, incredulous. "Is that supposed to mean something?" She giggled at his face. "Yes, it does. With this contract, you will be able to summon any of my children." Naruto nodded his head. He stood up, walked up to her and sat down right in front of her. Kurama blinked at the odd behavior. He screamed. "You have kids?" Kurama was momentarily dazed from the shout. She shook her head to gather herself. "Sure, I have thousands of children. Did you honestly think I lived all those years remaining a virgin?" She sounded like her pride was being targeted, but Naruto was focusing more on the fact that a Baijiu could actually give birth. "How is that possible?" "You're pure chakra," he screeched. She shrugged. "I can't honestly answer that. I didn't really question the laws of nature. I just went with it." Naruto's head was spinning. His initial understanding of Kurama was turned upside down with her statement. Nothing made sense to him anymore. She donned a wicked grin. "Wanna know how I have so many children? Simple, it was either I got fucked, or did the fucking." Naruto shut his eyes and covered his ears. "What the hell? Don't tell me about it." "And I only did it with humans," she continued like she was talking about her favorite television show. "So I would turn into a beautiful woman, or an irresistible male, depending on the situation, and got down and dirty." "You stupid fox, shut up." QB finally broke down into fits of laughter. "Oh god, you're so easy." Naruto stared at her, dumbfounded. "You were playing with me?" "Actually, no, everything I said is the truth." "This is so messed up," he moaned. "Oh relax, your time will come soon." "Hell no, I ain't doing it with you." Kurama rolled her eyes. "This kid. Not with me, stupid." "Let's just forget about it. So I can summon one of your kids?" Really bad way of changing the subject, but Kurama felt like she'd messed with him enough. "It could be my kids. It could be my grandkids, or great-grandkids or—" "Wow, you really are old," Naruto noted. A tick mark appeared on Kurama's head. "Say that again and I'll kill you." She snarled, her fangs visible. Naruto snarled right back. "It's the truth, isn't it, Bachan?" Now that the tables were turned, she didn't feel like teasing him anymore. She huffed and decided to get back to the task at hand. "Whatever, shrimp. Are you going to sign the thing or not?" "Why should I sign it? Did you think I would be your sparring partner?" "No, you'll need someone to train with physically and I'm way too important for that. The contract will allow you the ability to summon just that entity." Naruto glowered at her proud visage. "Humble much?" "I don't need to be humble. I'm the strongest of all the Baijuo." "Well, that explained it." He looked at the scroll again. "Does this thing mean I'll have control over what I summon?" "That's pretty much what any summoning contract means." "Won't you have a problem with that?" She was impressed that he had the foresight to ask her opinion on the matter. He was slowly improving in perception. "Nope, because even if anyone is summoned by you, it is their right to see if you are worthy of their presence." "So even now, I'm still going to be tested?" He deadpanned. It seemed like too much work for an ally. "That's how it works. If you don't live up to what they expect, then they will reject the contract. You won't lose anything, Just your dignity and self-worth. He wondered how she could treat the matter like a joke. This was very serious for him. He needed all the help he could get, and if Kurama was right, then this was exactly what the medic nin ordered. He had one more question. Will I be able to summon outside of the mindscape? Sorry, kid, that can't happen. Just like you can't summon anything that you would from the outside to the mindscape, you can't summon anything from the mindscape in the real world. That's not how any contract summoning works. Damn, and he had been hoping for a powerful ally too. Enough explanations. Sign the stupid things so we can get started. Naruto's mouth thinned. For some strange reason, there was a nagging feeling in the back of his mind. He didn't know exactly what it meant, but something didn't feel right. However, becoming strong won out in the end. This way, he could get training from two teachers, Kushina-sensei and Kurama. Kurama coughed. That's Kurama-sensei to you, buddy. Would you stop reading my thoughts? He decided to just sign the thing. Kurama had never given him an actual reason not to trust her, so he figured why not? As soon as he finished signing, the contract burned in flames. Naruto yelped and jumped back. Kurama had a frown on her face. It was both confused and worried. That's not supposed to happen. Naruto's head whipped to her. He did not like the sound of that. What? What happened? Kurama looked like she was deep in thought. I'm not sure, but I don't remember the contract burning before. She cupped her chin and eyed Naruto. Given a summoning contract has never been performed in the mindscape and with someone I'm bonded to, it is plausible that our combined chakra had an adverse effect on the contract. Can you speak English? She ignored his comment. Try summoning something. I can do that now? Yeah, go ahead. Naruto nodded his head. He scrunched his face in concentration. When nothing happened, he stared at an amused Kurama. Whoops, sorry, I forgot to show you how. Just prick your finger. When a little blood seeps out, write this symbol on the ground. She made the symbol in the air. Naruto nodded his head and analyzed the symbol carefully. Once he got it down, he followed her instructions to the letter and slammed his bloodied hand to the ground. Now what? He asked when nothing happened. Kushios no jutsu. That's all you have to say, she said. Naruto set his jaw and concentrated. He really needed to get the technique right, and he really needed to prove to whatever he summoned that he was worthy of their service. He briefly wondered how big the fox he was summoning was going to be. If it was anything like Kurama, then it could be a handful, that is if he was able to summon it in the first place. Kushios no jutsu. He screamed. At first, nothing happened, but then, the symbol on the ground began to glow angrily and soon after, a loud exposition emitted in the vicinity. Naruto was sent flying. He hit the ground a few feet away from Kurama and struggled to get back on his feet. Guess I forgot to mention that since we're sharing chakra now, your level of output is probably 10 times more, so be careful how much chakra you use. Thanks a lot. He wanted to spit out, but settled for watching the smoke ahead of him. It was huge. Whatever he summoned was damn near Kurama's height in fox form, if the smolder was anything to measure by. This could turn bad very quickly. If he wasn't up to whatever the hell that was standards, he could actually be killed. It was too late to turn back. He waited in bated breath to see another gargantuan fox, but was blindsided when the smoke dissipated violently, vanishing in all directions. What stood there was a young girl. She looked a tad older than Kurama in appearance. Her fox ears and tail were more notable. They were as murky as her hair. She wore a pristine indigo kimono that highlighted her well-developed curves. Her delicate hands were outstretched, indicating that she was the reason the smoke disappeared so suddenly. When her bright green eyes fixed on his azure, Naruto gulped in trepidation. She radiated power, he could see it just by looking at her. Her intimating eyes left him and focused on another. Kurama stared back, a bored expression plastered on her face. Those green eyes immediately blinked and brightened in recognition. You're sent. Is that you, great-grandmother? Ah, I guess that explains why I don't recognize you. You're a new generation, right? Kurama asked. The girl nodded gracefully. Yes. Hey, Kurama, Naruto whispered fiercely. She turned to him and raised an eyebrow. Do all baijus like being girls or something, huh? She wondered what he was talking about, but then finally understood. You got the wrong idea, kid. She isn't a baiju. What? Then what the hell am I looking at? She's a kitsune. There's a big difference between the two. Yes, there is, the girl said across from them. I can hear you. Boy. Naruto gulped again. This did not bode well for him. Are you the one who summoned me? She asked, her eyes already calculating him. Naruto fixed his face in determination and nodded. He couldn't allow himself to show weakness to his potential training partner. He needed to show that he was worth her time. He noticed that she was a bit taller than him, but she was surprisingly young and very attractive. He wondered if all baiju/kitsune really preferred to be human girls. Actually, She has no choice in the matter. Unlike Baijiu who can turn into literally anything we wish, Kitsune can only hide their fox-like appendages. Baijiu have no definite gender, but Kitsune have fixed gender. Naruto glared at her. Hey, I can't help but find out what you're thinking, Kurama defended. Are you the one who summoned me? The girl asked again. Naruto turned his gaze back to her. Yes, it was me. The girl's eyes narrowed, and Naruto had a feeling he was going to be in for a world of hurt. But before anything could happen, a pink orb with a fox inside appeared on the back of his hand. Naruto stared at it for a long moment, and then brought it to the fox next to him. What's this? It only took Kurama a moment to realize what Naruto had, and she turned sheepish in an instant. Oh, that's why the contract exploded. Now Naruto was on edge. Kurama-sama, is this what I think it is? The girl got their attention. She showed off one of her smooth, bare legs, and Naruto struggled not have a nosebleed as she kept revealing more and more through her kimono. She stopped once she reached her thigh, and Naruto saw the exact same symbol that he had. Kurama stretched out her hand, and the scroll with Naruto's signature appeared again. Isn't that the scroll that blew up? Naruto asked. Yep, well, it didn't necessarily blow up. More like, it went straight back to me. Kurama, what the hell is going on here? If this is here then I guess you truly are worthy, boy, the girl said, staring at the symbol on her thigh with a small blush on her face. Oh my. Why is she blushing? Naruto interrogated the fox. Red flags were going off in his head at an alarming rate. Kurama chuckled nervously. Well, I made a tiny mistake. Instead of giving you the legitimate fox contract, I gave you a marriage contract instead. It's no big deal, really. You what? Naruko was huddled on a corner at the park. She had been crying for a few hours, but the tears refused to stop. She was a good person. She never thought bad of anyone that didn't deserve it, and Naruto definitely didn't earn any disapproval from her. But her parents. What they did was not only irresponsible, but borderline criminal. The whole reason that Naruto wasn't with them was because of an idiotic assumption that she had the chakra and he had the soul. It was stupid, and after she found out that she had one half of the Baijiu in herself, she didn't know what to make of her parents. What they did was terrible. She didn't hate them. She could never do that, but she was extremely upset at their actions. She loved Naruto dearly, and felt it was unfair that they had to play fate and chose who stayed and who left. She felt very bitter, and resentful. Ne-chan. No cry, Narumi said, Hayonai staring up at the sight of her sister's sadness. Her little hands tried valiantly to wipe away Naruko's tears. The older blonde giggled adoringly at her little sister's efforts. The only reason she brought Narumi with her to the park was because she needed someone for comfort. She had been so distraught that she didn't think twice on her decision, not that she was complaining. Narumi was a great source of strength for her and she desperately needed it. It's okay, Narumi-chan, I'll be fine. Are you sure? Narumi said, frowning, looking unconvinced. Naruko smiled at her. I'm sure. Okay, can we get ice cream? The energetic Namikaze requested excitedly. Naruko chuckled at Narumi's enthusiasm. Sure. And Naruko-chan? Naruko pivoted on the voice and was surprised senseless by the newcomer. She smiled brightly. Hinata-chan. Jiraiya was making his way out of Konoha. He realized that there was no possible way that he could convince Minato and Kushina how sorry he was, so it stood to reason that he had only one possible way to salvage a little of the situation with a different approach. He was going to find Tsunade, no matter what. Hinata made her way to her room in the compound. She was careful with how she held the tray in her hands. Hinata-sama, you shouldn't be taking that anywhere. Please, allow me. A branch member said. Hinata was very shy, but valiantly shook her head. It's so okay. It's not too heavy. The branch member stared at her in confusion. Are you sure? I can easily take it wherever you need it. The Hyuga heiress shook her head again. It was enough to ward off the member, who shrugged and told Hinata that if she ever changed her mind, all she had to do was call. Hinata increased her strut to her room. She didn't want other people asking to assist her, she wasn't sure she had the strength to deny anyone that kept passing her way. She finally made it. Although she had difficulty opening the door and holding the tray of food, she was able to achieve the task, and was greeted by the sight of Naruko holding Narumi close. The little Namikaze brightened at her arrival. Hi, is that ice cream? Hinata smiled at Narumi's adorable visage. The little girl had some power of cuteness to her, and Hinata felt like she was falling for it. Why yes, Narumi-chan. I got your favorite. Vanilla? Yeah. Yay. Thank you, Hinata-ne-chan. Hinata graciously handed the cup of ice cream to Narumi. Naruko was smiling gratefully at her. Thanks, Hinata-chan. Hinata blushed and looked down slightly. And no problem, Naruko-chan. Naruko eyed the tray Hinata set aside. I'm surprised that you didn't have any servants handle that tray for you. Naruko had experienced a lot growing up. She had met many royalty members who turned out to be snobby and full of themselves. Usually they mistreated their servants and punished them harshly for minuscule mistakes. It made the blonde hate the very notion of being royalty. It made her think that anyone who had high status turned out to be a horrible individual. But Hinata, in her opinion, was different. She didn't badmouth anyone, nor treat anyone terribly. Sure, she was a little too shy in instances, but Naruko was glad to have her as a friend. I don't want the servants worrying about this. They do so much already. I see. Hinata noticed that Naruko's usual excitement was absent. She remembered earlier when she saw Naruko crying in the park. It honestly made her worry, but she didn't know if she could breach the subject. She didn't want to offend her only close friend. So, with nothing to talk about, she awkwardly kept her head down. Noticing her discomfort, Naruko knew exactly what was on Hinata's mind. "Hey," she said softly, gaining Hinata's interest. "I promise I'll tell you what's up later. Can we just enjoy ourselves now? It's been a while since we hanged out and I missed you." Hinata nodded slowly, processing her words. I missed you, too." Naruko beamed at her. "Then can I stay here for a while?" It was more to collect herself away from her parents, but she did genuinely want to bond with the young Hyuga. Hinata tried to mimic her grin, but came up a little short. "I'd like that." "Me too." "Me too," Narumi yelled, putting her hand up. Naruko laughed at Narumi's enthusiasm, while Hinata merely giggled. The young Kitsune continued to stand a few meters away from the duo. She had been instructed by Kurama to cover her ears while her and a very upset Naruto had a discussion. Currently, Kurama was being glared at heatedly by the blonde knucklehead. "I can't believe you just married me off like that," Naruto whispered fiercely. Kurama shrugged like it was nothing. "It was a mistake. Didn't I say as much?" "You think I'm dumb enough to believe that you treated marriage like some stupid, flimsy thing? Even I can tell you're not that careless." "So, you're saying I'm not telling you the truth?" Naruto's eyes narrowed at her. "I'm sure you're hiding the truth." Kurama looked offended. "Are you questioning me, kid?" "You bet I am. And you better come clean before I get out of here." Kurama raised an eyebrow. "What are you talking about? Did you or did you not marry me to that girl on purpose?" Kurama glared at him for some time, but soon enough, a grin split her face. "Excellent. Well done." Naruto staggered. What? Ha ha ha. You should have seen the look on your face. Absolutely hilarious." Naruto snarled. "What the hell is so funny? I'm not laughing." Kurama waved her hands up in the air, partially in submission. "Relax. Let me explain. What I was doing was administering a test." "What? Summoning that girl was a test?" "No. I knew you could do that. I'm talking about testing to see if you could tell I wasn't being explicitly truthful. Don't get it. I wanted to see how far I can go telling you things that didn't make much sense until you caught on." "You mean, you lied to me?" "Don't be offended by it. It was necessary. I needed to gauge how perceptive you were. It wasn't done for the sole purpose of hurting you. I'm your sensei now, after all." Naruto took his time processing what she said and then, "So what did you lie to me about, anyway?" "You're not mad?" "I guess I can see why you would test me. So, no, I'm not mad yet." She deadpanned. "Yet, I need to know the entire situation, then I'll see." Kurama gave him a long look. She resigned herself and shrugged. "Fine, whatever. Just know from now on, you should be aware that I can be training you anytime, anywhere on anything." Naruto nodded. "Are you going to tell me what you lied to me about now?" "Lie is such a strong word, kid." "You still did it." "Yep." She chirped. "And I guess you could say I lied about not knowing anything about the marriage contract. I figured. You're maybe crazy, but I don't think you'd be crazy enough to marry your own blood to some stranger." "Actually, you're not a stranger. I've known you since you were a baby. So marrying you off seriously wouldn't be half-assed." "So this isn't a serious marriage?" "Not to me or you, but to her?" He pointed at the patiently waiting Kitsune. "Yeah. Unfortunately, she can't know yet." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Why the hell are you doing this?" "Truthfully, it's because you're not strong enough to use the legitimate Fox contract." "What do you mean?" "The Fox contract is unusual at best. It doesn't just accept anyone. You need to be at a specific level as a ninja to be able to use it. It's got a status assessment, and it's pretty deadly to those who do not meet the criteria. Of course, it was designed by me, so obviously only the best of the best could use it." "If I couldn't use it then why didn't you say so?" "I'm random that way, so what?" "What the hell is the matter with you? Why can't you just be straightforward?" "Because the world isn't straightforward. It's deceitful, manipulative and nasty. You better get used to the way I operate soon, or you won't survive as a shinobi. We could have avoided this whole stupid marriage thing altogether. Then finding someone powerful enough to train with you would have been impossible currently. Why couldn't you just be my sparring partner and made things simple? Were you even listening before? I said I was far too important to be doing that. What I meant by that was you're too weak for me to train on my own. My skills are advanced, too advanced. And honestly speaking, it would actually frustrate me starting with you from the very beginning. So, the idea is that you would have someone weaker and that would be able to start you off. As soon as you grew enough in skill, I'll take over with the advanced techniques. Really? How hard could your stuff be? If I came to Konoha, sane and stable, with the intent to destroy it, I would have. She said it so seriously that Naruto knew she meant it, but still. Don't underestimate my village. There's no way you could have done that. Kurama wiggled her finger in the air. TSK, TSK, TSK. Do you even know how powerful a Baiju is? Imagine one that has spent centuries developing powerful jutsu with basically unlimited chakra reserves. Trust me kid, what I'm telling you isn't something for an ego trip, it's just simple facts. You're definitely underestimating me. She sounded peeved off, and Naruto didn't want her changing her mind about training him, especially after what he'd just heard. Fine, sorry, but I still think it's too forward to think that Konoha wouldn't stand a chance against you. Maybe it is. Let's leave it at that. Right. But I still don't get it. Don't you have any other contracts I could have used to summon something? Of course I do, but would never give it to you. Why the hell not? That contract mainly uses your chakra as an outlet to summon something. Your chakra and what exactly is summoned is mutually inclusive. If you have weak chakra control, then obviously you'd summon something equally feeble. And even the frailest Baiju or Kistun you summon may still be too powerful for you, and would subsequently reject you. That's a horrible way to start, but that system would be absolute. With the marriage contract however, there is no limit to what you can summon. It does not rely on your chakra control, but my chakra output. So the more of my chakra you dish out, the more powerful your summon will be. The best part about a marriage contract is that even if you're too weak for whatever you summon, I have the final say of whether you can be with that summon or not. So this will give you a powerful ally who won't care about your abilities. He had never actually thought of it that way. He just ran to conclusions that Kurama tricked him to being a lifelong partner to someone he never knew. Seriously, I worry about you sometimes, kid. She took out the contract and showed it to him. Why are you showing me something I can't read? Again? Kurama pointed to the top. The words mysteriously scrambled until the title was readable. Temporary marriage certificate? Naruto read aloud. Yep, Kurama said, burning the scroll again. See? Relax, you'll only be with her until I deem it worthy to cancel the contract. Why didn't you change it to readable text before? It takes a lot of power to do so. Naruto didn't bother pry further, feeling like Kurama's explanation would make him feel like an idiot. You could have told me the whole thing from the beginning, the blonde deadpanned. Kurama blinked at him. Then what fun would that be? You know what? Never mind. I just can't figure you out, Naruto concluded. Better start learning, quick, Kurama responded with a cheeky grin. Naruto rolled his eyes, then turned his attention to the girl. What you're doing to her is completely wrong. She'll understand once I tell her my reasons. And when are you going to do that? Kurama gave him a cryptic smile, then signaled for the Kistun to open her ears. She did so immediately, her fox ears, earlier folded, shot up above her head. Yes, Kurama-sama? She asked politely. It's time for introductions. I have yet to know your name. The girl's eyes widened and she hastily bowed. Forgive me. It was a complete oversight and I'm truly sorry. It's all right. So who are you? My name is Ru. I come from the Kurama clan of the north. Kurama raised an eyebrow. Kurama clan of the north? Since when was my clan divided? Ru's ears dropped a little. The current heads had a falling out and split the clan to the 4 far regions about 4 years ago. Kurama grit her teeth. It was only resent? Oh, when I get out of here, I'm going to teach those ungrateful brats a lesson. Ru did not comment. Kurama huffed. Spoil your kids and they turn out so sour. Jeez. Should I know what's going on? Naruto asked carefully. Kurama shook her head. It's okay. It's not something you should get involved in. Ru, from this day forward you shall be Naruto's training partner. Oh, Naruto is the kid next to me. He's a bit out there but he's alright. Naruto had no idea what to say about that, but he did glower in her direction. I fail to understand, Kurama-sama. Training in what? Do you mean? She blushed and Kurama picked up on it. No. Not that, in sparring, Kurama clarified. Oh, well as his wife, I will do my utmost to assist him. That's good and all that you feel like filling your role as his betrothed, but I advise that you don't focus on any intimate endeavors other than getting him stronger. I mean it. Ru gave her a confused look. Trust me. I'll explain later why I'm telling you this. Although still confused, Ru nodded in acceptance. You're still the leader of our clan. So, I do not find it fit to question you. Good. Kurama had to admit, Ru was a little bit on the dense side. Naruto was struggling to hold down his excitement. He was finally going to train with someone worthy. Ru, although not the same level as Kurama, still seemed a lot powerful. Kurama turned to him. Ready to get started? I was born ready. What should we do first? Naruto asked hurriedly. Kurama smirked at him. Glad you're pumped. So let's get this going. She waved her hand in the air. In the next moment, a bright light engulfed them all. Naruto had to shield his eyes. He knew that Kurama was creating some sort of training ground to get him up to speed. This was going to be so awesome. Finally, he could catch up to Naruko without the help from his father. Of course his mother was an exception for him. She proved herself, although not fully, but enough. The light dissipated and Naruto struggled to adjust to the change in brightness. But when he did, he rapidly tried to focus on his surroundings. It was go time. Huh? Naruto-kun? Are you okay? Naruto's eyes were wide as he stared in front of him. Ayame-ne-chan? Ayame stood behind the counter at Ichiraku's. She frowned slightly at him. Yeah, that's me. Is something wrong, Naruto-kun? You seemed pretty out of it. Naruto looked around. Everything about Ichiraku's was laid out to the simplest of details, from the decor to the customers. It looked too real. Ayame touched Naruto's forehead in worry. You don't seem to have a fever. Naruto was still in mental hysterics. How was he in Ichiraku's? When he was called into the mindscape, he was home, sleeping soundly. So how was this happening? Maybe it was just an illusion. But suddenly, Ayame froze in place. When Naruto looked around, he noticed the same thing happened to all the inhabitants. He was beyond confused. Kurama. He called out, hoping that yelling her name could make some sense to this mess. Here. Naruto looked behind him and noticed Kurama and Ru seated on a table. Ru looked up and down in marvel. Such intricate detail. Amazing. At least Naruto could be content that this wasn't real. What's going on here? I thought we were going to start my training. Kurama smiled sweetly. But, my dear Naruto-kun, we are. At Ichiraku's? What, we gonna have a ramen eating contest or something? Ha! Your sarcasm is palpable, but that's not what's going to happen. Besides, I hate ramen because of you. Me? He yelled, indignant. Kurama glared at him. Yeah, you. Seeing you eat that shit every day made me sick to my stomach. Naruto wanted to respond but she cut him off. Anyway, this environment is perfect for your first exercise. So you want me to spar with Ru here? Kurama stared blankly at him. Who said anything about sparring? Naruto was starting to get frustrated. Then what's the exercise? Your impatience is showing. Guess that's one more thing we need to work on. Naruto grinded his teeth intolerantly, but waited for Kurama to continue. After some torturous seconds, she did. We're not doing anything physical yet. Remember what I said in the beginning? We need to work on your way of thinking. You're just too impulsive. That confused him even more. And how are we supposed to do that here? The smile Kurama gave him was anything but simple and sweet. Listen carefully, Naruto. A ninja is a survivor. They use whatever they can in order to achieve their goals. It can be underhanded, emotive or downright disgraceful. But as long as the end goal is reached, they do whatever it takes. I know that already, Naruto said. No you don't. You only think you do. You understand the bare minimum of using anything to your disposal, but that isn't the point I'm trying to make. Ninjas are clever, sometimes too clever. If they see there's an easier way to do something, they abuse that opportunity to the fullest. Ninjas are also good at reading people, from facial shifting to body language. That what's going to happen here. What? You see that ramen girl in front of you? Naruto glanced at Ayame, who was still frozen in place. Yeah? Your goal, to move on to the next stage of training, is to get Ayame to ask you out on a date. It took some time for Naruto to process what Kurama had said. His eyes widened and he rounded on her. What? You heard me. Your objective is to get Ayame to ask you out on a date. What the hell? How is that training, you crazy fox? Ru peered at him. Do not disrespect Kurama-sama, Naruto-koi. Hearing Ru use such a personal honorific with ease made him shiver, but he bravely shrugged it off. Kurama only stared at him, bored. If you don't want to participate then you can forget about beating your sister. What? I'm serious, Kurama said. If you're not going to take me seriously as a sensei then forget about advanced techniques, even Ru will not be allowed to help you. Naruto gave her a very sour look, seemingly sulking at her stipulations. But this is so stupid. Then we're done her. No, I'll do it. He sputtered animatedly. Kurama nodded once. That's what I like to hear. So I just have to get her to ask me out, right? Naruto reiterated, already forming a plan in his head. He had forgotten that Kurama could read it up. I guess I should administer rules for this, Kurama said. Naruto was already starting to get worried. Kurama donned a thinking pose. Let's see. During the exercise, under no circumstances are you allowed to let Ayame in on the real reason of asking her out. You cannot make her ask you out as a favor to you for any reason. You may not write out or give gestured hints to Ayame of your reasons or your intentions. You may not physically use anything in Ichirakus to assist you. You may not get anyone during the exercise to help you. And you may not ask leading questions that will have Ayame involuntarily ask you out. Got it? How am I sure that this mission hasn't been rigged for me to fail? The Ayame you see before you is modeled, in detail, after the original. I've studied her for years and incorporated her mannerism and behavioral patterns into the image. So, she will speak, act and react just like the normal Ayame would. No more excuses. She crushed all his plans in one take. Naruto really hated her sometimes. Love you too, kid. What if I fail? He asked. Then we'll do it over and over again until you pass. Good luck. Kurama clicked her fingers and everything around Naruto was lively again. Maybe you didn't sleep well? Ayame continued on. Naruto eyed her in trepidation. He looked behind him and noticed that Kurama and Ru had completely vanished from sight. He could not believe that it had led up to this. She wasn't the real Ayame, but sure acted like the real one, making it even more difficult to commit himself fully. He wished that Kurama could have specified that he was required to ask Ayame out. He never lacked in confidence, and he never cared about embarrassment if he could get the job done. But no, Kurama required the complete opposite from him. He needed to get Ayame to ask him out without hinting on it, meaning Ayame needed to ask him out because she genuinely wanted to. That, for him specifically, was borderline impossible. How could he begin to get Ayame interested in him? It was weird, too. She was more like a big sister to him, so getting her romantically inclined felt somewhat uncomfortable. Naruto-kun, I think you need to go home and rest, Ayame said, frown visible on her face. Naruto quickly gathered himself, embarrassed that he was caught staring. No worries, Ayame-ne-chan. Hey, can you tell me something? Ayame still had a worried look plastered on her face. What is it? How do you feel about me? He hoped he didn't just ask a leading question. When he noticed nothing happening around him and Ayame thinking about his inquiry, he guessed that he didn't fail so far. Well, I consider you someone really close to me, like a little brother. Why the sudden question? It's nothing, Ne-chan. Just curious. He played it off with a chuckle, but it did little to ward off Ayame's concerns. I really think you should go rest. No, I'm cool. Really? If you say so. Excuse me while I deal with the other customers. Naruto wondered what else he could voice. It was just so difficult to think of the right thing to say to her. Even as he watched her get busy tending to other customers, he was still at a loss for words. What do I do? I'm not used to the whole roundabout thing. I'm always direct about everything I execute. Damn you, Kurama. He decided to go for it. Do what he's always done before. It's gotten him this far in life, hasn't it? Hey, Ayame-ne-chan, do you love me? He yelled. Ayame was startled by the shout. She almost dropped a few plates, but steadied herself in time. She turned to the blonde, looking borderline troubled. Of course I do, Naruto-kun. Great. Then you know what to do. I promise I'll say yes and I'll even set up the perfect spot. What are you talking about? Come on. Naruto wiggled his eyebrows suggestively. Everything around him instantaneously froze. Fail, Kurama shouted from the table she suddenly sat on. Naruto fearfully looked behind him, surprised by her shout. Jeez. Warn me next time, will ya? Kurama nonchalantly stared at him. Shouldn't you be focused more on the fact that you failed miserably? How? He asked. You gave Ayame gestures for her to make her own inference. That was against the rules, but I thought gestures only involved hand movement. I didn't move my hands, he defended. No, it's body movement with the purpose of implication. Your eyebrows are part of your body. Fail. Naruto got angry. But this is ridiculous. How will getting Ayame to ask me out improve my chances as a ninja, and where's Ru? She didn't like the whole notion of you asking someone out in front of her. So I sent her home. Home, as in? The place she was summoned from. You can summon her back anytime you're in the mindscape. I explained to her the reason why I was doing this, so she isn't too upset at you. Anyway, you're a terrible conversationalist. Not like it will help me in the long run anyway, he muttered. Well, too bad for you. You can't move on to the next step until you get her to ask you out. You're free to ask me to initiate the environment for the test any time from now. But I won't be teaching you anything without you giving me results. Why Ayame-chan? Because she's close to you, making it even harder for you to think of strategies to woo her. Naruto grumbled under his breath, trying to dissuade his retort. They returned to the original mindscape. You're free to go. Come by any time you want to try again. Can I get help outside the mindscape about this? Remember the rules. That's all I'm going to say. With that, Kurama pushed Naruto outside of the mindscape. She tissed when he was gone. This is definitely going to take some time. Kushina was packing up the last remnants of her luggage. It wasn't particularly too much, as her time away from the Namikaze estate was intended to be temporary. She needed to collect herself, not abandon her family. Naruko had come home about an hour ago with Narumi. The blonde was still understandably upset with them, but Kushina felt like she should mend strained bonds before she left. The last thing she wanted was for her own daughters to turn their backs on her. Minato wasn't at home. He was in a meeting in preparation for the up-and-coming Chunin exams. So Kushina saw this as an opportune time to have a face-to-face talk with her child. She was nervous as she approached the girl's room, but she willed it on. If Naruko started acting like Naruto now, then the mother had no idea how she would feel about it. She knocked carefully and waited patiently until Naruko told her to come in. She walked in, not even bothering to pretend that everything was okay. "Hi, Musume. Can I talk to you?" Naruko had a back towards her mother, playing with Narumi. Narumi turned to her mother, smile on her face and an energetic wave. "Hi, Ka-chan." Kushina smiled. "Hi, Musume. Naruko-chan, can we talk in my room, please?" It took some time, but Naruko wordlessly stood up and walked out of her room. "Can I come?" Narumi asked innocently. "Not now, Narumi-chan. Just wait here a bit, okay?" Ka-chan, that's a good girl. I'll be right back." She closed the door and noted that Naruko was waiting for her. Her arms were folded and her eyes were still fresh with anger. Kushina mentally sighed. She led them to her room and had Naruko sit on her bed. She joined her and started. "I'm not going to make excuses. You have every reason to be angry. I'm really sorry for everything you've been through because of me and your father." Naruko stared at her, hurt and anger clearly visible. "How could you do that to him, my own brother, your own son?" Kushina struggled to maintain eye contact. The shame was never going to leave her, was it? Her mouth formed a thin line and she struggled with the lump in her throat. However reluctant she was on the subject of Naruto, her daughter's expectant stare held no ground for her to hide. She decided to just come out and say what was on her mind. It was terrible mistake, sweetie, one that I wish I could take back every day. There's nothing I can say to justify it. I was stupid, we all were that night." "The night you left him," she spat, her accusatory tone grating. Kushina took in a shaky breath. "Yeah." Naruko shook her head. "I love you and To-san, Ka-chan, but I can't help but resent you right now. I love Ni-san so much that hurts me when he doesn't return it, and you took him away from me and Narumi-chan. I know. I've got nothing to say that could get you to forgive me. I'm honestly trying to do right by him. You know I could never hold a grudge against you, Ka-chan. But right now, I just can't look at you without getting angry." Kushina smiled. "You and me both." Naruko had a few tears in her eyes, trying valiantly to hold them back. "Until Ni-san can catch up to me in skill, I won't accept any more training from you or To-san." That made Kushina flinch, and her worry became all too visible. "Musume. I know that you want to be fair to your brother, but please, not this way. There are terrible people out there who wouldn't hesitate to hurt you because of your chakra. I don't ever want something like that to happen to any of my children." Naruko peered at her. "It's too late for that, Ka-chan. Naruto has been hurt by this horrible place for years. You can't say that to me, not now. I will train, but not by you. I'm sorry, Ka-chan, but I feel like there's too much injustice. I'm not going to change my mind until Ni-san is at my level." Kushina felt like it would be impossible to sway Naruko's thinking. The girl looked pretty resolute about it. She guessed that Naruko was at a certain level where even Chunin would have a hard time fighting her. But, she was still her mother, and the safety of her kids was still a priority. She decided to settle for monitoring them more closely. "I see. I'll support your decision then." Naruko's eyes widened. She honestly never expected that from her mother. Kushina brought her forehead and touched her daughter's. "I love you." Naruko leaned in, closing her eyes. "I love you, too, Ka-chan." Kushina stood up, followed by Naruko. "I'm leaving for a few days. Your father will take care of you while I'm away." Although surprised, Naruko tried to play it cool. "Why? There's a lot of things I need to fix. I'm sorry if I don't tell you more, sweetie. But I promise I'll be back soon." "Are you on a mission?" Kushina smiled at her. You could say that. And it's something I feel like I have to do. Naruko nodded slowly. I don't understand, but okay. Be safe, Ka-chan. I would never risk leaving you behind. I think I lost the right to act leisurely a long time ago. She grabbed her suitcase. I'll walk you out then, Naruko said. Kushina could admit that Naruko was an absolute angel. She was definitely a part of her life that she thanked Kami every day for. Thanks, sweetie. I'll just say a quick goodbye to Narumi-chan. Naruko escorted Kushina to the entrance of the Namikaze estate, and it looked like Minato was just arriving home. Kushina? He said. Kushina walked up to him. Hi, Minato. Minato shifted his gaze to her bag and back again. So, it's time, huh? Yes. Naruko only looked on in vague curiosity. She realized that she would need to tell Minato that she wasn't going to be training with him either. Minato didn't look happy about it all, but felt like he couldn't do anything about. I'll miss you. She grinned weakly. I won't be gone forever. Minato nodded, barely looking her in the eye. It hurt to realize that things led up to this. But he couldn't blame her. She was the most involved with the kids, anyway. He was mostly invested in Hokage duty. He had never hated that position more than now. His lack of involvement was causing his family to divide even further apart, and it felt like a knife twisting in his heart. He sighed, it sounded tired. Where will you go? Remember our first home? The one just outside Konoha? But we haven't used it in years, it's probably in ruin. I checked it out earlier. It's not that bad. It will need a little fixing up, though. Do you need any help? He offered, hopeful. She shook her head. I need this, Minato. Please understand. I do. He took out a scroll and handed it to her. Here. It's Naruto's adoption papers. Kushina was shocked. It took a pause for her to take the letter. Thank you. I've already read through it. Naruto was adopted by a woman named Yui Kusei. After a few months, she cancelled the adoption altogether. I take it you're going to see her? Kushina barely heard him. Her mind went to what Naruto had told her of the woman that he trusted and was betrayed by. Her eyes turned colder. Yes, I am. Minato sighed again, already knowing that she wasn't going to accept his company. Did she do something bad to our son? Kushina was jolted out of her stupor by the question. I will tell you everything soon. Not now. Minato nodded in understanding. It was definitely something bad. He really took a good look at her then. She seemed so different from the semi-carefree woman he knew just a few months ago. She seemed more tired, stressed and emotionally exhausted. He probably looked the same way to her. I guess this is goodbye, he said awkwardly. No, it's just bye for now, Kushina responded. That forced a weary chuckle from the Hokage. Kushina leaned in and kissed Minato's cheek. I love you, Minato. I wish things could have been different. Sounds like you're breaking up with me, he smirked. She mirrored it. Till death do us part, remember? I never backed down from a commitment. His smile withered. I know. She gave him a sad look. Bye, Minato. Bye, Kushina. I'll do my best for the kids. I know you will. With one more wave at Minato and Naruko, Kushina walked away from the Namikaze estate. Her face was all serious, promising great pain in the future. Minato sighed again. What a day. He guessed news of finding out who was responsible for withholding Naruto's gifts and presents would have to be put on hold. Minato felt like Kushina wouldn't be able to hold it together with so many things to deal with. Tosan, I need to talk to you, Naruko said, staring seriously at her father. Minato knew his day was far from over. In a secluded dark room, 5 figures sat in a circle surrounded by other bodies. The 5 figures each held cards close to their chests. It looked like a very high-stakes game. People eyed each other in suspicion. One person stood above them all, and directed everyone's attention to the left. It is your move. Before anything could happen, a door suddenly flipped open, filling the room with bright light. Everyone inside groaned in discomfort, but grew silent when they saw an irate woman by the door. Tsunade-sama, where are you? She yelled angrily. Everyone blinked at her, then shifted their gaze to one location. The person they pinpointed turned out to be the aforementioned woman, wearing a big hat to try and cover herself. By God, Shizune. Couldn't you have waited in our room just a few minutes longer? Not when you lock me in and take all our money. She screamed, fuming. No one in the room felt like getting on Shizune's bad side. Tsunade sighed. You wouldn't have let me go if I didn't. A security guard came up to the raven head. Hey, this is a high-stakes game. Leave, before I do something I'll regret. Shizune blared at him, forcing the man to shrink into himself. Let yourself in. I've got no problem with that. Shizune returned her irate gaze to her mentor. She stalked into the room before hauling Tsunade on her feet and dragging her out of the room. Shizune, Let go of me this instant. Shizune made sure to drop Tsunade by a bar table, loudly joining her. Tsunade straightened herself. You really have to work on your manners. Shizune continued to glare at her, even more so when Tsunade ordered sake. How much did we lose? She all but gritted out. Tsunade huffed. You really have little faith in me, don't you? How much? 10,000? Shizune shrieked. Well, yes, but it couldn't have been less than 5 minutes. DCH. If you didn't interfere, I could have gotten it back. Tsunade took a healthy sip of her freshly served sake. Shizune's brow twitched. When are you going to stop doing this to us? Before Tsunade could respond, another bowl of sake was served at her table. She never asked for more, so she looked up at the culprit, and couldn't help but scowl. Room for one more? Jiraiya asked, stupid grin plastered firmly on his face. That's the end guys. If you enjoyed then make sure to leave a comment. This is Chaos Shinobi signing off.